The U.S. Census Bureau is the federal government's largest statistical agency. They conduct more than 130 censuses and surveys each year, including the decennial, the American Community Survey, and the economic census. A census is the procedure of counting and acquiring information about the members of a given population. Data.census.gov is the Census Bureau's new data tool, and we're going to take a look. Okay, so the first thing that you'll notice is you have two search options. There's a simple search form box. We can call it a free form box, and you can type in keywords or codes specific to your geography, to topics, to census tables, of which I'll show you some in a few, table IDs, and NAICS codes, North America Industry Classification System codes. So we're going to start off using the free form. The next one I'm going to tell you about is the advanced search. So for now, let's take a community Smackover, and we're going to type in median income, and we're going to click on search. Now, the best approach for you depends on the population groups that you're interested in and the kind of information that you want to know. But what's most important is that we need to be able to define neighborhoods. So neighborhoods are not official census boundaries. Access to the Census and American Community Survey uses tracts, census tracts. So we're going to go up here, we're going to click Maps, and we can click on our tabulated data, income in the past 12 months. And then we have a little map here. It's our place, which is Smackover in the Union County in Arkansas. So the first thing is that we're going to look at 5-year data. So the 5-year data is going to provide a little bit more information, I should say a lot more, than the 10-year decennial that we're most commonly referred to. But when you go down to the 5-year data, we can scroll down here, and then you will see census tract is an available option. So let's just mouse out here. And these are the census tracts within our area of Arkansas. So we're interested in 9503, and we're going to make a selection in the table, and we're going to choose these different tracts right here. So now if you ask me about tracts are ideally 4,000 people and no more than 8,000. So let me deselect, which is to say that there are fewer than 8,000 people here. There are more than 4,000. If there were more than 8,000, then they would divide this tract into two additional tracts. So right now we have 9503, and what we could do here is we could let's look at median income estimate in dollars for this range. So this is perfect. We have American Community Survey, ACS, 5-year estimates for this census tract, 9503 in Smackover, Arkansas, and we can compare it to other locations. Now, there's a glitch in the current census. So if I were to click Table, then I could see the table from which this information was derived. Actually, just let me copy that information right here. But when I click Table, here's the glitch. It's not going to immediately show us the table. So I'm just going to go over here, and in the future it will, right, when they fix this problem that they have. But I'm going to click Tables, and then you'll get the table data that we use to populate that particular map. So I can scroll over, and here we have the tract 9502, and let me scroll over here. You'll see tract 9503 rather. So here we go. We have 15.2% of people making less than $10,000 in that particular tract. I can customize the table. Maybe I don't want to see the margin of error, so I've just eliminated the margin of error. So that's one search that you can do. Now, one thing that I wanted to show you that I didn't have a chance to show you, and I did refer to this, but just this idea of having tables and maps. So if you look at the tables here that we have that pertain to Smackover, I can go down here and I'll notice there are 122 census tables that interact or at least provide data for Smackover, Arkansas. And if I go down and I look at the maps, I also have 122 maps, 122 tables, and then 122 corresponding maps. So this is good to know about. All right, Now, what I want to do is, instead of finding tables, and by the way, the table that we looked at, there was a corresponding table ID number, and I could search by that number in here. What instead I'm going to do this time is I'm going to click Advanced Search. So let's click Advanced Search, and we want to browse by a topic. So let me show you one of the topic areas that's going to be useful in terms of breaking down the racial demographics of a particular American community survey. So let's go down to race and ethnicity, and let's go down to Hispanic and Latino. I'm going to click Hispanic and Latino, and I'm clicking on search here. So now, if you notice here, we have this Hispanic or Latino origin by race. It's B03002. So we can write that down. Before I could write down the tract, which is 9503. That was of interest to us, or I could write down multiple tracts. I could also write down this table ID. So in the future, I could use this table ID, right, to search, say, a community in Harlem in New York City, or wherever the case may be. Same table ID would apply. If you were looking at a tool like Social Explorer, they do use census table IDs, but keep in mind they also have proprietary IDs that they use to track tables as they go deep into the block information. So let's click here, 302. And you're looking at the American population. We've got 328 million people that are tracked. So obviously we want to filter down. So let's click on filter, right? We're going to go to geography. We want census tract information, 4,000 to 8,000 people. We're looking for Arkansas. And let's see here, we want the county. So I did keep in mind that it's Union County. In this case that we're looking at, Union County. And finally, let's wait for it. We have these different census tracts. So let's take this tract. We've got the census tract. And let's see, it appears to have loaded. Let's click done here. Okay, so within this particular census tract, now the value of this, well, it doesn't seem to have loaded the table that we want. Keep in mind we wanted B0302. Let's click B0302. Okay, here we go. So we've got table B03002, Hispanic or Latino origin by race. Now the value of this particular table is that we know within this tract, 9503, Union County, Arkansas, 5-year estimate, we have an estimated 2,117 people, of whom 625 are Black, of whom 21 are Hispanic, and of whom 1,451 are white. So that's another approach to the census. So I could go back here. I could search by the table ID. I could search and filter by geography. I can map. Keep in mind that there is a glitch in the system currently where if you click from a map to a table, right, you notice that double click that I did. But our goal is to try and define a neighborhood. So that's typically your first step. So the census doesn't define neighborhoods in the same way that we define neighborhoods. They use tracts and blocks. And when we search for tract and block information, we're going to be searching using the American Community Survey like I showed you.